My name is Brett Miller, and I live in Sweden. I've been living in Sweden and Finland for 22 years. I am an American citizen. I was born and raised in Washington, D.C., and I was a ballet dancer, and from there moved to many different cities and traveled around the world, ending up in Finland when I was about 30 years old, and then about 36 years old over to Sweden. I was an athlete as a young boy, running and swimming and playing tennis, and then about when I was 18 years old is when I got turned on to ballet, and then from there was nothing else in the world. It was just ballet, and I went nuts over it and trained in ballet and became a professional ballet dancer, and doing very nicely, traveling all over the world, doing different ballet companies, and anyway, it was just ballet. And then I went in a little bit into modern, but for the most part, it's just ballet. I danced with the Louisville Ballet and the Nashville Ballet, and I trained in Pittsburgh, and then I moved to New York, danced with Ballet Hispanico, and with Svi Gottheimer, and with, who is it with Martha Graham? Eric Hawkins Dance Company, to name a few. Also other different small projects. I then started my own small company when I moved to Finland, but that became a little too difficult. So I realized I didn't love it that much, and that's when I dropped it. When I was in New York, of course, I had always heard of Pilates, but it was not something that I could afford. It was out of my league, and so therefore I could just hear about it and be jealous about me not being able to do it because it was so great. But it was back then when I lived in Stockholm in 2005 that I then Pilates had become already then more popular and more accessible to us, and that's when I took my first class. And of course, by that time I had stopped dancing. I had not been dancing for like 7 years, and so when I experienced it, and it was so much like dancing in the exactness that was required and the dedication that was required in order to master it, of course I fell in love with it. So it was in 2005 that I got a taste of it, and then I immediately went into teacher training in the STAT program in Stockholm, and almost immediately became a teacher of Pilates. But I think I've been diligent in that manner. I've always studied and worked with other people so that I could learn more and more and more. And now I don't even consider myself a STAT teacher. It was a great beginning, but now I'm just broad-based Pilates. So the culture of Pilates in Europe, and in Sweden in particular, is that we are, I would say, the way I look at it is that we are like 22 years old. We are 22 years old in the Pilates world, whereas when I come here, I can feel that you're older, something like 35 or 40. So we're a bit younger and therefore more hungry to learn and to study it. What I love about teaching is conveying a deeper aspect of the body. And Pilates is special in that way that really what we're teaching is consciousness and awareness, and I love to teach that to people. And then, of course, and that's very difficult to do, but when you see the light turn on every once in a while in your students, that's a huge kick for me. And then I also love it when the gratitude, when people have learned something and they feel very thankful that there's something that they were not even aware of and thought I was strange when I was first teaching it, and then they're starting to get it, and they love it. And I love it, so we all love it. The influences in my Pilates track, well, first and foremost is the STAT background that I have. I mean, that's kind of the stamp of what I have, and I think that is a very thorough. So I have to thank Moira Merrithew for doing the thorough job that she did, and the training that I went through there. And then I think it was Siri Dharma Galliano. I'm no longer friends with her at the moment, but she's the one that opened me up to really seeing that there was much more to this that I didn't know. And that was a wonderful revelation, and I'm very thankful to her for that. And that was her doing. So at the moment, it's Deborah Lesson who I find can really convey wisdom and knowledge in a deep manner that I yearn for, and that is very rare. I yearn for that in my own teaching to others, and that is special and good. And so she is the one that inspires me at the moment. So my approach to teaching Pilates at the moment is that I don't do it for my livelihood. I'm a software developer for my livelihood, and I teach Pilates part-time. That means about 6 to 10 hours a week. And this is a big advantage because for those 6 to 10 hours, I think all of us Pilates teachers can relate to this. I can be really on and giving. Once I get past that moment, I'm not really, it's just by nature, I'm not able to give that. I can still be professional and give a pretty good lesson, but to be really there, I'm not able to do that. That doesn't mean later in my life I won't do this. I mean, it's just that now I have the unique opportunity to be able to only do it 6 to 10 hours a week. So this is why also I don't want to rely on Pilates, also because I love software development. I do love it. It's a balance as well. Here with software development, I'm just with the computer, looking at the computer. I don't have to deal with people. And there's a part of me that loves that. I don't need to be with people all the time. I'm a people person, but only part-time. And then the other part-time, when I am the people person, I am with people. And so this matches my life very nicely. How did I start Pilates Intel? A few years ago, I was sitting at my desk, bored at work, got a letter, just work 4 hours a week and have all the freedom that you want. Okay, why did I even open that email? But anyway, I did, understanding that, of course, that's not true, and it's not true. But anyway, and it was a course on how to start an inbox newsletter. And so I have now Pilates Intel, which is an inbox newsletter that is geared towards Pilates teachers and Pilates enthusiasts. It comes out every week, and I just put together a website. And I was very frightened, like anybody who's going to take a new endeavor, that everyone would hate it. But luckily for me, and happily for me, it has come to a nice base of subscribers and a whole bunch of really nice writers that want to write for it as well. And it has become, well, I think it's become a fantastic newsletter and a great resource and to bring up the knowledge of the whole to the whole Pilates industry. Because when we are stuck in our pole star or stott or balanced body or classical, we don't really understand that there's lots of other people that have affected what I have learned. And so this brings the information to them, and I hope it's fun as well. I think that people should do Pilates because Pilates is much more than exercise. In fact, I find that exercise is secondary. You will get a kick-ass workout with Pilates, but it's really about understanding and going back to Joe's original word for it, contrology, which means that I can control my body. And controlling the body in an intelligent manner requires sensitivity, skill, and awareness. And it's through this that if I am able to engage my center so that I can really support myself in my exercises and then my everyday life, that's when I can start to be really free and free of stress and strain from my own body. And that reduces my stress level and allows me to see the world more clearly and respond to the world more clearly in a calm and real way. Also, if you study it and if you're sensitive to it, it can be so beautiful. Not Pilates, but what you learn about yourself through Pilates, if you have a good teacher and if you study it with a dedication and a love. So for a person who wants to start a Pilates practice, I would just say come and do it. But I would say mostly do the mat work, because with the mat work, the mat work is what has the most challenge into it and what brings you more into the essence of what Pilates is, to me. That's what I think. And then if you take these mat classes and you have a good teacher, then you will learn these deeper aspects of Pilates early on and yearn for them. Then with the apparatus, they're also a way to give feedback to your body so that you can come deeper into these aspects of Pilates. For example, the two-way stretch and the opposition that's involved and the deep support from the center that actually gives you the freedom that we yearn for. And to understand that what we are doing is learning a technique. It's much more, of course this takes time, but it's much more than just a fitness class, which is how most of our minds are geared. Okay, this is my exercise class. But really it's exercise, absolutely, but the exercise is secondary to the depth and the beauty that is offered by a good Pilates training. So if you can find, it is a rare teacher that can teach this, by the way, so always look for the best teachers. What do I do for fun and on my free time? I don't have that much free time, but what I have come upon lately is I've taken up the piano again, and I love classical music and I love to play it. I'm not that great at it, but I do spend a few hours a day doing that. And I also play tennis, and I hang out and travel with my son and my partner, and I have a nice life. What does Pilates mean to me? Pilates is a manner, it's a very sensitive and exact technique that if I study it well and study it with dedication, brings me to understand myself even more. And that understanding, it's not just understanding, but a sense of centeredness that really actually works. It's not some kind of new age, oh, let's center ourselves and really get in touch. It's really there, and it's very powerful and effective. It helps me to be more balanced and more strengthened. It's also something that inspires me to teach. It gives me a vehicle to teach this to other people. I feel that I hope that I have a talent to do this, and Pilates gives me a manner with which to teach this deeper aspect of the body and the being to other people. And that's why I love it so much. People who would like to know more about me or get in touch with me, I hope you'll go to my website, pilatesintel.com, and there you can sign up for Pilates Intel, the weekly newsletter. And through my weekly newsletters, you can always reply, and I will get it into my inbox. And I always read all correspondence that comes to me, and I try to answer them all as well. And I love to hear from people.